What's good? It's Woog. We've got Naoya Inoue, the monster, 30 wins and 0 losses, defending all 4 of his Super-Bantamweight titles. That's 122 Super-Bantamweight titles against MJ Akhmadaliev, 14 wins and 1 loss. You know, with Canelo versus Crawford about to go down, that has taken up so much oxygen in the boxing game that a really good fight and a fight that a lot of people have been looking forward to for multiple years has kind of floated under the radar because of how mega a deal Canelo versus Crawford is. But on the night of Canelo Crawford, if you set your timer for, like, if you're on the West Coast, like 4:30 a.m., you can catch this Super Bantamweight undisputed title fight between pretty much the 2 best guys in the division. I know Junto Nakatani, I believe, just entered the division, but as it stood, Naoya Inoue, obviously a generational great, a first ballot Hall of Famer, 4-division champion, 2-division undisputed champion, and then you've got MJ Akhmadaliev, who's been looking to prove his point for years now. He had a big setback when he lost that split decision against Marlon Tapales before Naoya Inoue beat Tapales to capture the last 2 titles. But MJ Akhmadaliev has been wanting to fight for undisputed in this division since it was Stephen Fulton and him with the 2 belts. Remember, this was supposed to be a Stephen Fulton versus MJ Akhmadaliev deal before Inoue stormed the gates at 122, destroyed Stephen Fulton, and then has been on a rampage since. He stopped Marlon Tapales again to capture the other 2 titles. Since then, he's beaten Luis Neri, TJ Daheny, Kim Jae-yoon, which was a late replacement for what was supposed to be a fight against Sam Goodman, and then most recently, Ramon Cardenas. So it's not like Inoue has been fighting bums in this division. I mean, we're talking Luis Neri, who himself has been a champion and a highly respected fighter. I know he's tested positive for PEDs and stuff like that, but Luis Neri, good fighter. So here we've got Naoya Inoue, the monster, against MJ Akhmadaliev. And Akhmadaliev has fought 3 times since that unexpected decision loss to Marlon Tapales, and he has won all of those via stoppage. Meanwhile, Naoya Inoue, the last time he went the distance, now he's 30-0 with 27 knockouts. The last time he was taking the full distance was the first time he fought Nonito Donaire back in 2019. That was like a fight of the year. A lot of the publications had that as fight of the year. That was the last time he's been taking the distance. He has scored like 10 or 11 straight knockouts since beating Donaire via decision the first time, including when he beat Donaire the second time, that time via vicious second round knockout. Now, I will say this about Naoya Inoue. I look at him at 122. I know a lot of people want to see what he could do at 126. I kind of look at him at 122 like I looked at Vasily Lomachenko when he got to 135. I look at it like it's his physical ceiling. Like, proceed with caution, big caution, if you exceed this division. And I'm seeing that with Naoya Inoue, not only because he's, you know, older than he's ever been. He's like now in his early 30s. He's 32 years old. But if you look at the punches that he's taking, he has been dropped twice in his last 4 fights. He's been dropped against Luis Neri, and then he got dropped in his most recent fight against Ramon Cardenas. So he's not able to just mow these guys over like he was at junior flyweight and all the way up to bantamweight. No, now, I mean, he's still stopping all of these guys. Like, let's be clear. Again, he hasn't been brought the distance in this division, but in terms of punch absorption, I just wonder how he's going to do against a good boxer with heavy hands like MJ Akhmadaliev, who's been in this division operating for years now. Now, they do have that common opponent in Marlon Tapales. It obviously went much better for Naoya Inoue than it did for MJ Akhmadaliev. But I look at the Marlon Tapales fight for MJ as being a bit of a puzzle because that was a case of southpaw versus southpaw. MJ Akhmadaliev is southpaw and Marlon Tapales is a southpaw. But it doesn't seem to matter if you're orthodox or southpaw if you're Naoya Inoue, whose last 3 southpaw opponents, he's had 3 just over the past like less than 2 years. Marlon Tapales, Luis Neri, and TJ Doheny, all southpaws. Didn't matter, at least in terms of the results. Now, I do think that, MJ Akhmadaliev, he's got a really good left hand, straight left. Naoya Inoue's money punch is probably his straight right. He's got a nice left hook too, but that's straight right when he dials it up, and he doesn't have any tell. He just lets it go. There's no real wind up. Doesn't even look like he's throwing the punch super hard, but it's getting there very quickly and it's landing hard as hell. You could tell by the opponent's reactions. But there was a clip that Boxing Wave had put out there that had me really thinking. It was MJ Akhmadaliev catching his opponent with a lead, kind of a counter or a check right hook. Again, southpaw with a nice right hook. MJ Akhmadaliev really whips that right hook. Naoya Inoue seems to be a little susceptible to that unexpected punch. So I wonder if Inoue, who's a highly aggressive, highly offensive fighter, is going to be running into big shots that could put him down or even worse. Again, I don't love how he's taking the punches from these 122 opponents when he's getting hit. Certain guys can't get anything going against him, like Stephen Fulton or Kim Ye-jun. But that last fight against Roman Cardenas, that was a bit of a struggle for Inoue. Now, he ended up stopping him in the 8th round, but he took a lot of fire, and Cardenas was able to, take his punches for 8 rounds and was throwing a lot of really vicious counters that a lot of them were connecting with Inoue. So I'm really curious to see how he handles MJ's, his power and his intelligent punch placement. Now, Inoue, he's got perhaps underrated IQ because his physical gifts seem to just jump off the page. He figures things out pretty well as the fight goes on, starts making the adjustments to where even if it's an exciting first couple of rounds because he got blasted, he is usually in control by the time you get to the middle rounds. But again, I think MJ, it's hard to say that this is his best opponent. It's hard to say with any declarative certainty that Akhmadaliev is better than Stephen Fulton or even Luis Neri. We just don't have enough information, enough data to really support that. Again, I would have loved to have seen Stephen Fulton, who's about to fight for another title in like a 3rd division. I would have really wanted to see Stephen Fulton versus MJ Akhmadaliev. Akhmadaliev's best opponents have been like a post-prime Daniel Roman, Marlon Tapales. I can't even say Ronnie Rios because he was so post-prime by the time they fought. Again, Akhmadaliev only has 15 professional fights. Even if MJ has success here, I think MJ is going to be tasting a lot of leather, especially from that Inoue right hand. And if he's able to take it, fantastic. But nobody's really been able to take that in recent years. And even if MJ is boxing fairly well against Inoue, this is going to be taking place, like most Inoue fights, in Japan, who's going to be reacting to everything that Inoue does and kind of downplaying a lot of his activity. So this is going to be a super pro Naoya Inoue crowd. So even the close rounds that Akhmadaliev seems to be doing pretty well, I think that a lot of those are going to be scored for Naoya Inoue, who again, anytime he lets his hands go, you just assume, because of his history of demonstrating the power, you assume that they're doing big damage to the opponent, even if the opponent is still upright and operating with, lucidity. So I think that MJ is actually going to be fighting Inoue on pretty even, a little bit less than even terms, but he's going to be fighting him competitively. He likes to set the pace, but he could also counterpunch effectively. I just don't know if he could catch up with the suddenness of Inoue's power shots in a way where he'll be able to, no pun intended, in a way where he'll be able to bank enough rounds to win a decision here. So I think that he's good enough to be the first guy to take Naoya Inoue the distance, but I do think that sudden power, again, no setup in that right hand, but I think that Inoue is going to be throwing enough volume, which in a way he's had to work a lot more for his success in recent fights. I think that both of these guys are going to get beat up to a degree. I think that you're going to see some wear on Inoue's face. I think that we might get a knockdown here. It'll be exciting if MJ knocks Inoue down, but I think that MJ is going to be doing well. Maybe rock him a little bit, but I don't think MJ is going to score a knockdown here. I actually think Inoue is going to score a knockdown over MJ, but I think MJ is going to do well enough even after that knockdown to go the distance. I'm gonna go with Naoya Inoue to win a competitive but clear decision. We're talking something like 8 rounds to 4. I think it's gonna be probably a unanimous decision for Inoue, but I think that it's gonna be an exciting fight, especially in certain moments. I think they're both gonna let their bullets fly, so to speak. And I do think that they're both going to catch each other with their money punches, but I feel like both guys have a good enough chin and enough IQ and wherewithal to be able to navigate through those dangers. I think Inoue is going to put Akhmadaliev in more danger than vice versa. But I think that, again, MJ is going to go the distance here. Inoue, I'm going to take him, but not via stoppage. I'm going to take him via unanimous decision. Let me know your thoughts on this. Again, very under the radar, but fantastic fight. Like, again, I wonder how Inoue is going to take the power. I'm going with him to be able to stay upright and work through it, but I wouldn't be surprised if MJ and all of the assets that he brings to the table are unexpectedly too much for Inoue, and I wouldn't be too surprised if MJ wins via decision. I'm not expecting MJ to stop Inoue. I want to be clear about that. If he does, that would be a bit of a shocker. But I'm also surprised by how wide a favorite Inoue is here. Like, last time I checked, Inoue was well, I don't have to guess. I can just pull it up right here. Inoue is a -800. So again, this is basically the 2 top guys in the division, and you've got Inoue. That's how much of a reputation Naoya Inoue has, and he's got such fanfare. But Inoue is an 8-1 favorite over somebody with just 1 loss, a close loss, split decision to Marlon Tapales. MJ Akhmadaliev is a +650, a 6.5-1 underdog. I don't think that those odds are appropriate. If I were to handicap this, I would have put Inoue at a -400, -450 max. -800 is pretty bogus, but again, that tells you how big of a reputation a top 3 pound for pound fighter in the sport, the monster who's been doing this for years now, taking out top opponents. He's stopping like Hall of Famers and multi-divisional champions, Luis Neri. I mean, the list really goes on. So I'm gonna go, again, Inoue here. I don't think he needs to be an 8-1 favorite, but I think he's gonna beat MJ Akhmadaliev via unanimous decision. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.